What's going on, you guys? It's Sam. Today I'm going to be answering my most asked question. So how are you guys doing? I hope you're all doing well. If this is the first time you've ever seen me on your screen, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below to see more of my face. So if you're new to this channel, you will not recognise the fact that this isn't my normal filming location. Today I'm going to be needing to use my laptop quite a bit because I'm going to be running through my most asked question with you guys, which is, what should my diet be? I get this question sent to me on Messenger, on Snapchat, on Instagram, commented on a lot of my workout videos on YouTube. It's absolutely everywhere, and I get the question because at the end of the day, if you don't know much about fitness or nutrition or something like that, it seems like a very, you probably think that it'll be easy for me to answer, but it's not, because it's not one size fits all. There isn't a perfect diet. It's different for everybody. There's a number of contributing factors that go into the perfect diet for you, and that is your age, your weight, your goal, what your current lifestyle is. There's so many things that go into it, but today, hopefully, I'm going to make this video really simple for you all, and by the end of it, you guys are going to know what the perfect diet is for you. So the first word that I'm going to be talking about is macros, which is short for macronutrients. Now, I throw this word around quite a bit without really considering the fact that actually you probably don't know what that word means. So to put it simply, macronutrients, or macros as I'm going to refer to them, are fats, carbohydrates and protein. Now, all of those three things add up to give you calories. Now, I'm sure you've heard of calories. You'll hear people say all the time, oh, there's so many calories in this. Now, what you'll kind of learn as you kind of learn more about diet is that it's not technically the calories that matter, it's the macros that matter. We also have something that we need to take in called micronutrients, and these are basically vitamins and minerals. I'm not going to go too much onto that today. They are also a contributing factor. We're mainly going to be talking about macros and how to work out our macros. So to work out our macros, we need to know our body weight in pounds. It's very simple. Either go off and weigh yourself, pause this video right now, I will wait, go and weigh yourself, or if you're not able to, but you do know your weight in kilograms or something like that, just go into Google and convert it. Just put in kilograms to pounds or whatever you want to convert. It's very simple. Pause this video, go and weigh yourself. Okay, so hopefully you have done that. And what we are now going to do is we are going to times that number by either 14, 15 or 16. If you're a very active person, we're going to times it by the higher number, which is 16. And if you're someone who's quite sedentary, we're going to kind of keep it a bit on the lower side and go for 14. So to make this slightly more simple and make it a little bit easier for you guys to understand, I'm going to make up an imaginary person. We'll give him a name, we'll call him Fred. Fred weighs 141 pounds. So I'm going to say that Fred is somewhere in the middle of sedentary. Am I saying that right? Sedentary? No, I feel like I'm saying it wrong, but I don't think there's another way to say it. I've said it so many times now, it doesn't sound right anyway. We are going to pretend that Fred is somewhere in the middle of active and sedentary and times his body weight, which is 141 pounds by 15. So 141 times 15 gives us 2,115. Now these are going to be Fred's calories. So Fred's macronutrients are 2,115 calories. So we're now going to dive even deeper into the macros and get on to fats, carbs and protein. So we're going to dive in and start off with protein. Now, we are going to be timesing our body weight once again, but this time by anywhere between 0.8 and 1.2. If you're somebody with a slightly higher body fat percentage, I would try to stay closer to the 0.8. Whereas if you're somebody who's on the slightly leaner side, I would times your number by 1.2. So Fred, who is 141 pounds, I'm going to say that he's of a slightly higher body fat percentage. So I'm going to times his body weight, which is 141 by 0.8. So 0.8 times 141 gives us 112.8. So I'm going to round that up to 113. So that means that the amount of protein that Fred needs to be eating every day is 113 grams. Next up, we're going to move on to fat. Once again, it's just going to involve us timesing our body weight. Now this one comes down to what kind of food you prefer. So do you prefer fatty foods or kind of carby, sugary foods? If you prefer fatty foods, we're going to take our body weight and times it by 0.4. And if you prefer carby, sugary foods, we're going to times it by 0.3. So I'm going to say that Fred prefers fatty foods, and I'm going to times 141 by 0.4. And this is going to give us 56.4, so I'm going to round that down to 56. So that's 56 grams of fat that Fred is going to be eating. Okay, so finally we have carbohydrates. Now this isn't crazy difficult, but it's a little more complex than the other two that I have just shown you. So make sure you're listening to this one. So to understand how to work out carbohydrates, you need to understand this. In a gram of protein, there are 4 calories. In 1 gram of fat, there is 9 calories. And in 1 gram of carbohydrate, there is 4 calories. So an example of this would be to take Fred's daily allowance of fat, which is 56 grams, and times it by 9. So altogether, this is going to give us 504. So that would mean that out of Fred's entire daily calories, which is 2,115, 504 of those calories are going to be on fat. Don't worry if you don't understand that. It's not the end of the world. It would be kind of helpful if you did understand it a little bit better, because it will just kind of help you to understand where those calories are going to. But if not, don't worry, just stick with me. I'm going to be walking you through how to work out your carbohydrates anyway. So to start this off, I'm going to do exactly what I just did about 2 seconds ago, which is working out how many calories Fred is eating from fat. So once again, Fred is eating 56 grams of fat, so we're going to times that by 9, which is going to give us 504. You're probably going to need a piece of paper for this, just so that you can keep all the numbers kind of going in your head, so you don't have to remember them. So we then need to work out how many calories Fred is eating from protein. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my person's daily protein intake, which I've got written down as 113 grams, and times that by 4, because remember that I said that there are 4 calories in 1 gram of protein. So altogether that's going to give me 452. So I'm then going to take the 504 calories from fat and my 452 calories from protein and add them both up. So altogether, that is going to give me 956. We're then going to take our goal calories, which was the first number that we ever worked out. So for Fred, that was 2,115. So I'm going to take 2,115 and take away the 956 that I worked out a minute ago. That is going to give me altogether 1,159 calories. So then we're going to take that 1,159 and divide it by 4, which altogether is going to give me 289.75. I'm going to round that up to 290. So that's Fred's carbohydrates. So altogether, he's going to be eating 2,115 calories, 113 grams of protein, 56 grams of fat, and 290 grams of carbohydrates every day. So what we did there was we worked out somebody's maintenance macros. So maintenance macros are what you would eat to keep the same physique that you've got now. So if I was to eat my maintenance macros, I would stay exactly the same as I am now. That's absolutely fine if you want to stay the same. However, a lot of you that are watching this will probably either want to cut, so lose body fat percentage, or bulk, which means to add on muscle mass. So I'm sure you'll have worked out by now, to put it very simply, if you want to cut, you're going to be taking away calories, and if you want to bulk, you're going to be adding on calories. Now, the amount of calories that you take off or add on will be different for different people, but the general rule is if you're cutting, you don't want to be losing more than 1 kilogram per month, and if you're bulking, you don't want to be adding on more than 1 kilogram per month. So if you're bulking, that is going to limit the amount of fat that you're going to be putting on when bulking. Obviously with bulking, you are always going to add on a bit of fat with the muscle, but this is just going to keep it to hopefully a minimum. And then with cutting, you don't want to be losing too much, because the quicker and the faster that you drop the weight, the more muscle mass you're going to lose in the process. At the end of the day, nothing happens overnight, so you might as well take it slowly and get the most out of it. So to make sure that you're hitting your macros, I would suggest that you use an app called MyFitnessPal. This is in no way sponsored, but pretty much everyone that you hear who calculates and uses macros will be using the MyFitness app. All you have to do is create an account, and then you'll be given like a profile. You can either share it with people, or you can just keep it completely private. And you just put in your macros. A second ago, I said about taking off calories or adding on calories if you don't just want to hit maintenance. This app is a great way of doing that, because instead of then having to rework out your macros, all you have to do is take off 100 calories on the app, and it will take off the macros for you. Or if you want to add on calories, it'll add on numbers to the macros for you. So to get on to a little bit more of the question of what should my diet be, I'm going to get on to kind of what your goals are and what your expectations of yourself are, and therefore ultimately what you should be eating within your macros. So the simple truth is, the invisible person that I made up a second ago, it doesn't matter whether he was to eat his 2,115 calories in chocolate or in vegetables, he would still look the same when he woke up the next morning. The biggest difference would be if he was the one that was eating all of the chocolate. Internally, he probably wouldn't be that healthy, and by the end of the night, he'd also be incredibly bloated. So what I'm trying to say here is that having an incredibly strict and clean diet is almost as kind of extreme and bad as having a really unhealthy diet. So I'm not saying that you've now got your macros and you can just eat whatever you want in them. Of course, it's important to make healthy choices and things like that. But at the same time, unless you're the next Phil Heath, there really isn't any need to eat chicken, rice and broccoli 5 times a day. It's important to have some diversity within your macros. Give yourself some treats, mainly just for the sanity of yourself. I guarantee the chances are if you tell yourself you're going to eat rice, chicken and broccoli for 5 times a day, you're probably going to get bored of it pretty fast. However, for those of you that are looking for some healthy alternatives for fats, carbohydrates and proteins, I'll run through a few good ones that you might want to try. For protein, we've got egg whites, things like beans and nuts. This also includes nut butters. We also have skyr yogurt, which has been huge recently. I'm a massive advocate of skyr yogurt. You can get it in all supermarkets, whether you shop in Morrison's, Lidl, wherever. It's all over the world at the minute. Everyone's raving about skyr yogurt. Yeah, it's incredible. I think in an entire pot of skyr yogurt, when I get the big one, there's something like 40 grams of protein in it with minimal fats, which is really, really great. So if you can find some skyr yogurt, get yourself some of that. And we also have things like red meats. On top of that as well, if you're a vegetarian, of course, there are meat supplements or meat alternatives like Quorn and things like that, which are also full of protein. For fats, we have fish, avocado, nuts and olive oil. And for carbs, we've got fruits, vegetables and whole grains. Another thing I would say as well, if you're somebody who is on a real bulk and you've got crazy high protein levels that you need to fulfill, I myself really struggle to get protein in just through my kind of day-to-day foods. So some great things to try would be a whey protein or something like a protein bar. But of course, I myself am very aware of the fact that these shouldn't just replace protein that you get from normal foods. They're not magical substances, supplements, none of them are. Protein is, when you buy a whey protein in a tub, it is simply protein that you would get from a food. It's just a lot of it. It's not anything magical. It's just a great way to try to hit your protein at the end of the day. So what I would do is I would go through the day eating all my foods, and by the end of the day, if I've not hit my protein, I would take a couple of scoops of whey protein, chug it down, and then I've hit my protein for the day. Finally, if you're somebody who trains hard and doesn't eat that great, your results aren't going to be maximised. But also at the same time, if you eat great but you don't train well, again, your results aren't going to be maximised. Diet and training are like the perfect couple. Abs are definitely made in the kitchen, but if you want to get, pretty juicy biceps, you've also got to be working hard in the gym. And both of them, you need to be working on them together. Finally, I'm going to be doing my shout out for today. Today's shout out goes to a guy over on Joey's World. This guy's got a YouTube channel. I will put it up on the screen. Thank you so much, Joey, for your continued support, and I'm really glad that you like the videos. If you yourself want to be within a chance of getting a shout out, like the video, make sure you're subscribed, and just leave a comment down below. This is a new thing, but I've been choosing one person per video just to give a shout out to. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below and give me any questions or anything that you want to say, and I'll try and help you out. I know that this is a very, very kind of intense topic, but hopefully this video helped you. And finally, as always, remember to subscribe to see more of my face. And I will see you guys in another video.